Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in to BizConnect's very own Alumni Spotlight series, where we will feature distinguished alumni that are in front of me right now, where we will talk about career-related questions. I'm Alvin, the Relations Head for BizConnect, and today I'll be the moderator for today's podcast session. Maybe I can hand over the time to our distinguished guests to introduce themselves.
Hello everyone, I'm Loon. I graduated in 2003, so I've been working for almost 20 years now, largely in finance, accounting, banking, so traditional route that people take after they graduate. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Irene. I graduated from 1994. I'm in various sectors. I started on with banking and I moved on to real estate investments. Currently, I'm working in the international NGO, Compassion International.
Hi, my name is Eric. So I started off with finance, then pivot to tech, right now starting our own company.
Thank you so much for the warm introductions, everyone. So, as you can see, we have very distinguished questions to this, and I think we have a distinguished set of alumni here with us today, and we want to kickstart off with maybe a question that is in the top of everyone's mind as an undergraduate.
Number one on my list is attitude, right? You can always learn technical skills, you can always learn, about news, what's happening around everywhere, the world. But what separates intern from the next one is basically your attitude towards the work. Are you willing to learn about new things, right? Or are you closed up in your own world and not willing to try things? So I think attitude to learn is something very important, attitude to work. Of course, this doesn't mean that you need to work 24 hours a day, right? But it's just the willingness to learn and to absorb things and try new things. I think that's for me the number one that needs to be there.
Well, for me, when I look at, I interview a lot of interns, and I find that sometimes I want to see that the intern must be very interested in our company, right? And what I want to hear is, of course, these days when I look at interns, they are all very, very talented, very gifted, very good results. So as an employer, you look at then who do you choose? What's the choice that you make? And then for me, I will be looking at whether this person do research before coming to talk to us. And secondly is also whether this person is a fit to our culture, right? And whether this person is teachable, coachable, is here to learn or here to contribute.
I think I kind of agree with Irene said, because I would say right now interns are more well prepared than my era, my time. It's like very well prepared, like they have a list of questions that are already prepared for interview. So for me, I'm more of like looking how he carry his day-to-day life, in the sense that like what is the value that he holds on, and the values that I would like to find out is whether they are honest, they take responsibility on their work. So these are the things that I will seek out if I were to look at an intern for our company. So less of like what Karen said. Karen just said, actually technical skill, yeah, I agree. It's not the first thing that we look for, because technical skill can be learned in the job, or even right now with ChatGPT, I believe all you guys been using is you just type in, you can get all the thing. So it's more of like the attitudes, the way of how you address challenges, and how you communicate with, like, let's say I'm the one working with you, how you communicate, like if something's cocked up, or if something's that you face challenges in the work, how would you share it openly with me as a hirer? So these are the things that I will be looking for.
I think going back to the point Irene made just now, so a lot of interns, they apply, they just blindly apply, right? So they do a mass send, like a machine gun approach. But what we really want the intern to know to do is get to know about the company, right? There's a lot of tools out there. You can always research. You can always see what are the products, services, or what's the country geographical distribution of the company that you're applying to, right? So at least know all these basic facts before you even come for the interview, right? It's very easy to get all these facts, so there's really no reason why you can't do all that research work before. So I think this is definitely one mistake that I see.
And I look at, usually before even we shortlist a candidate for interview, we look at the cover letter and we look at the CV, right? So what usually, like, if I see typo mistakes, for instance, or grammatical mistakes, I think that gives me an impression that maybe the person didn't really proofread or really didn't put in enough effort or care enough to give the best. This is your product, right? You're trying to sell a product to me, and then there's typo errors and all this. So these are maybe indications of the person's attitude and inclinations. And the other thing I look at is also about how some candidates will come and say, I want this from you in the cover letter. I want to get this from you for my internship. But there are some candidates who kind of tell me, hey Irene, I have these skill sets and I believe that I can contribute. So I'm more interested looking at letters like that tell me how you can contribute and or what kind of things you think you can add value to our company.
Yeah, I kind of agree of what Kylan has said, like really go through research. But one of the experience that I got from one of the applicants is when they made sense, they forgot to change the company name.
Oh, that's really bad.
It's like, oh, okay. Like, I think
I've gotten that before too.
Yeah, nowadays, like because of the mass sending, is like whether you take time to review before you send. I think this is a very, very important thing, especially you are in a role, in a job. You can't send an email or send something to a company by addressing another person, which is kind of disrespect, I would say.
I think sometimes it's also about the strategy of the internship that each student will try to do. So like there are many who sort of do as many internships as they can, and therefore each internship ends up being like 2 months, 3 months, maybe, right? And if you have too many of those, it's actually a negative point to me, right? Because it just means that you just skim through the internship without the time to learn much. And even if you do 6 of those, 7 of those, doesn't mean much to me, right? I rather what's on the CV is that you spend 6 months or you spend 4 or 5 months at one internship, so that you can get more chance to learn about what's happening. So to me, that's also something that I will look out for. Most networking events follow a certain theme, so it's maybe like a finance night or accounting night or marketing night or something like that, right? So if you are going to attend it, make sure you are familiar with the topic on hand, right? So if you are attending a finance night, okay, at least get to know the recent events happening around the world, the news happening around the banks or financial institutions. Show that you know something about this sector, right? And what's the latest developments in the sector, right? So then you can have an intelligent conversation with the people who are attending the events, and that helps to, I guess, the interviewer to get a better impression of, hey, look, this guy knows what's happening on the ground. He's been reading up, so it's good to engage him in the conversation. So I think that's very important.
I find that for local graduates, they tend to be a bit shy. So when I hire interns from the US, they are more spontaneous, they are very confident, they are very vocal. So I sense there's this very different kind of demographics in that sense. I want to encourage our NUS community that when you want to stand up to your employers, you have to look confident. Right? If there's a lot of self-doubt in you don't even believe in yourself, then how do you expect people to believe in you? I think this is something that can be worked on. And the other thing I want to encourage is the practice. Like you go to as many networking sessions as you can, and then you realize that when you go along, you become more confident. Then you also observe how other people interact. And then like if you see somebody that really stands out, then you tell yourself, okay, this is what I want to learn from. These are very good examples. I mean, there's no textbook answers to how you should network. But I learned a lot of networking through observing other people.
So for me, I'm thinking back then when I was the undergrad, I'm kind of shy. On top of that, I'm a super introvert. So like networking is it was the most challenging thing for me to do in terms of networking, so-called aspect. But one of the things that I find maybe can help me further is really to understand the persons that I will be talking to. So for example, if you're going for a networking event, you already know who are the panels, you know the people. Right now it's very easy. You can just go LinkedIn, find out what they do, what are their reasons, so-called like posting. Is there any things that they write that interest you, that could really strike an impression a lot, I would say, because you are interested in the person, not you are interested in the job or in the opportunities they are looking for. You are striking a relationship. So I would say knowing the persons that you are talking to really stand out. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think connections are very important. I mean, you can be the best technical candidate, you can have a nice CV, full GPAs and so on. But if you send your CV to an email which is a generic HR email with thousands of applicants, you're not likely to get noticed, right? So I think the best chance of success is really when you already know somebody, you send it to somebody who knows somebody, right? But of course, that's easier said than done. How do I get to know someone in Goldman Sachs, right? It's practically impossible. But I think there are cases whereby undergrads have actually texted me on LinkedIn out of the blue, right? I don't know them at all, but then they are courageous enough to ask for a chance to have coffee, to understand a bit more about the sector and what the job entails and things like that. And I think to encourage that, sometimes what I do is out of goodwill or just to help them, I send a CV to my ex-employers or friends I have working in different parts, different sectors or different industries. And that's definitely much easier than if you just apply to a generic HR email. So I think that's something that I guess undergrads can try. Of course, don't bombard my LinkedIn, but I think it's definitely worth trying out if you haven't done so.
I tend to hire interns by word of mouth. Right, because somebody that has tested the product or know the person well, and it's easier than you try to comb through thousands of applications and then it's a faceless thing. There's no interaction. So typically when people come to me and say, hey Irene, let me recommend you this particular intern and why is it so? I think that he's good. He had interned in my company before and everything. And naturally I will just take this intern. So I believe that word of mouth is very important.
Yeah, I kind of agree. But maybe some tricks that undergraduate can do, especially you guys are very used to social media. LinkedIn is the best place to do it. So share your activities on LinkedIn. For example, you go to a conference or you go to certain events, you take a photo and then tag the persons that you are talking to, and then let them know that you are there, showing up in the scene, and then really be interested in whatever events that you are in, sharing your thoughts. I think this might be another way to let the people know you. Yeah, because I can really relate to you as a first year BBA student, which is very introvert. If I were to rewind back to my time, and when LinkedIn are really so-called widely used in the industry, I think that will help an introvert in a sense that I can do it in my own space, but I also can strike the relationship. So maybe you would like to try the way.
I agree with Eric, because the LinkedIn is actually your branding platform. So when you want to prospect to employers or whatever engagements, this is your branding. And basically this is how you want people to portray yourself, to how want people to see you. And I think that I want to encourage students that spend more time on your LinkedIn. Right, as what Eric has very good advice, tell them what kind of activities you go, what kind of engagements, who are the people you are meeting, and then the employer will be able to see what kind of contacts you have as well.
Yeah, the other thing I've seen is also name cards. So I think NUS makes name cards for some of the students. I'm not sure, but if they don't, I think just spend like $20-$30. Having your own name cards. If I'm meeting at a networking event like 30-40 undergrads, I'm not going to remember all their names, right? But once I have that card, it's something that registers a bit more easily in my mind. So it's also, you can design your own name card as well if you don't have an official one from NUS, and that helps the interviewer to see your character and see how we brand ourselves. So that's something quite interesting, I've seen.